You're listening to The Ditch Diggers, Season 11, Episode 6.
Ditch diggers appear and ain't no wannabes here with some not so nice advice for your writing career. To be clear, no punches will be pulled, but the punch may be spiked how they like before they get on the mic. To my left we got the mighty Mur Lafferty, and if I piss her off, believe me, she'll come after me. And her co-host Matt Evan Wallace on the right. Yes, she may be half as hype as she can take him in a fight. So settle in, folks, buckle in and boot up. Time to meddle in a way to make your writer shut up. It's hard work, but the perk is that it's fun and exciting. Facebook will still be there when you're done writing. Ditch diggers! Ditch diggers!
And coming to you live from the empty swimming pool of the Ditch Diggers Manor, it is the Ditch Diggers with Ursula Vernon and Mur Lafferty. I'm Mur, and she's Ursula. How are you, Ursula?
I'm good. I should also mention I'm also T. Kingfisher in case anybody came here for that instead. So.
Oh, yes. Yes, we have to say both your names. I have to forget.
I'm fancy.
Fancy,
I
yeah.
am exceedingly fancy. Yes, I'm working hard and starting to get a little anxious because I can see the deadline in the future, and people keep telling me how many books I have due this year. And as I was describing it to Mur before the show, I am extremely good at eating a whale one bite at a time, but the trick is to never look at the size of the whale and see how much you have left to eat.
Yep.
And people keep going, hey, there's 3 whales here.
Not just a whale, but more than one. Great.
Yeah, it's a multiple whale a year. How are you, Mur?
I'm very good. I got to go on a business trip last week for a project that I'm very excited about, and it all went well. It's like I didn't even have imposter syndrome, and I just kind of sat there waiting for it to come. And then I was kind of anxious that I didn't have imposter syndrome, but that still didn't make it come. So am I getting
I have done the anxious about not having imposter syndrome thing, which is oh God, if I think I'm competent at this, does this mean I am becoming egotistical and arrogant and whatnot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that. So
yes.
yeah, that was my last week. I flew to the undisclosed location on Wednesday, had some meetings on Thursday, and flew back on Friday, and was able to spend the weekend at home. But yeah, that's a new project. It's not huge, but I think it's important and going to require some edits. So I need to make sure I hit all those deadlines in addition to the deadlines of my longer projects.
Yeah, I had a Zoom meeting on my own undisclosed project last week, and I was braced for it. I can say it's a media tie-in. That's as far as I'll go. And I was expecting to get having to defend my thesis to a row of corporate stakeholders, because that's what the one before had been.
Really?
And this one was literally just the editor going, I had one question about this thing, and I'm like, that thing is canon in the property. I did not invent that. And they're like, all right. Do it. Yeah, you're good. This is a much shorter meeting than I thought it would be. And I'm like, oh, that was not painful.
That's great. This is the thing I know about?
That is the thing you know about.
Okay. Cool.
Sorry, Internet, you will know about it in 9 months or so, I think.
Yeah, I don't know when we're announcing my project, but when I can, I will be very excited to talk about it.
There's a super wet bird on my front porch.
Okay. Is it raining?
Yeah, I just wanted to... No, I think it was probably in the bird bath.
Oh,
it's
okay.
just extremely soggy and has kind of spread out to dry and is doing the birdie wiggle.
So it's probably it's not an unhappy, sodden bird. It's like a bird that is, just gotten out of the shower.
Yeah, it is. It is a freshly showered bird.
Okay.
Sorry to derail.
It's fine. It's about a bird. People expect it. So yeah, we did agree to do this, but we don't have a ton of things to talk about. So we are opening up to chat for suggestions or questions. But Ursula did come here with a rant ready and willing and all that. So I figured we'd start with Ursula's rant while those of you in chat will hopefully think up some questions for us. Go, Ursula, go.
Yes, I was on Blue Sky, where, as some of you know, I frequently enjoy fighting on the internet, although I have gotten better about that, but not enough to abandon it entirely when someone was wrong on the internet, and someone was wrong again. And so it's the old saga that comes out, and I was tagged in because someone recommended my books and then made the mistake of reading the thread, which is people arguing, why does romance have to have a happy ending? And you get all the people who actually understand the reality of genre romance saying, you don't have to have a happy ending in your book, but if you bill your book as genre romance and there isn't a happy ending, you will be nailed to the wall by your readers, and that will be getting off lightly. And then inevitably someone goes, but Romeo and Juliet was a romance. No, it was a tragedy about warring families. It was not a romance.
Stupid teens.
Yes.
Don't forget that.
It was. It is not one of Shakespeare's romances. We just think of it wrong. And then, of course, the inevitable. I remember when Ivanhoe was considered a romance. Well, I congratulate you on your longevity, as you are apparently a contemporary of Sir Walter Scott. But romance in the old Middle Ages use of the word, derived from Roman, was basically stories about chivalry and knights. Le Morte d'Arthur is a romance. It's not a genre romance. It's not the way we use the word anymore, but there's always somebody who wants to argue that because, in 16 whatever it was called a romance, ergo, romance does not need a happy ending. Ironically, Ivanhoe does have a happy ending. And this is stupid. It's like saying that because French and Italian and Spanish are romance languages, a book written in French or Italian or Spanish is a romance. No, that is not how the word is used anymore. That's it. You are basically taking a word that means two different things and demanding that it be the same thing. It is not. It is modern genre romance has a happy ending or a happy for now. It can be ever after. It can be happy for now. If it does not have that, then I strongly, strongly, strongly advise not billing your book as genre romance, because you are going to find out you are not as special as you think you are. Everybody thinks they're going to be the one who breaks expectations and does something out of the box. Look, everyone is open to that box. Like 10,000 people have opened that box. None of them succeeded. If you open that box, you are not going to be a brave, special pioneer. You are going to have the box blow up on you the same way that it happened to the last 10,000 people who tried it. This is a known issue. This has been done. I don't know why everyone thinks I assume it's one of those ignorance of the genre things where, like, people who, think romance must be easy to write because they haven't done it or they don't read enough of it or whatever are like, okay, well, I'm going to write a romance with a tragic ending because how dare you, because I want to subvert expectations. And it's like, buddy, this is not new. This doesn't work. You can write your thing. You can call yourself tragedy. You can call yourself drama. You can call yourself general fiction. You can call it romantic tragedy if you feel like it. Don't put it in genre romance. It would be like writing a cozy mystery and then not telling you who the killer is and wondering why all the readers get mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not even that. It's not even the whole thing I just said. It's that we have to keep having the conversation. This comes up every 6 months, I swear to God. And I would just like the little sign that says it has been X months since the discourse to get to double digits once. Like, there's that poor empty tens slots. Like, we don't even know where the zero is anymore. That concludes Ursula's rant about genre romance is awesome. Actually know the genre before you write a book in genre, even before you decide to break it. That's all I ask.
Well, here's the deal, and this is again one of those things that Ditch Diggers tries to do, because people who teach you craft will not tell you this. But the deal is that genre is a marketing tool, just like a book cover. And so it's a message. It's a message to people. If you are in the YA section, you are going to have books about teenagers for teenagers. No matter who reads them, that's still what's intended. That's what's messaged. And yeah, I went on an angry rant in my head, but I don't want to go there yet in my mouth.
Oh, okay.
The deal is
that's a great way to phrase it.
Genre is just a clue. It tells people what to expect when they read your book.
Yes.
This is my rant. I ranted about this so often that Ursula and I would take a different route through Barnes & Noble when we used to have coffee together. Because if we took one specific route, I would rant every time. And that is, every once in a while, a genre book gets so big that they'll put it in fiction. And I kind of see that as...
Is this about discovery of witches?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I thought it was, yes.
Because yes, I'm one of those people. I'll say it. I'm one of those people that when I read a book that I don't like, and I don't get its huge popularity, it really irritates me. And not only did that book I just did not understand what the draw was. It did get out of the ghetto and got into general fiction. Stephen King's there too.
Yes.
And that is where I feel like genre this is where you really know it's marketing, because they don't want to market to fantasy fans. They think it's good enough, quote unquote, to hit general fiction fans. And they might pick it up and read halfway through and go, wait a minute, this is about a witch and a vampire. Oh, well, they're not doing anything witchy or vampire-y, so I'll keep reading. That's one of the problems I have with the damn book.
On Stephen King, I have an alternate theory, which is that with the collapse of horror as a genre in the 90s, they just wanted to get rid of the shelf, but they had to put King somewhere.
Yeah, that's fair.
But Dean Koontz, same way. And the thing is with horror, horror did not go away. They just realized that the genre horror was not selling, but if you call the book a thriller, it'll move copies. And so the difference between horror and thriller, I mean, okay, does one have ghosts? Okay, now it's a supernatural thriller. Mm-hmm. That it is marketing category, which kind of sucks because there are many people who are very passionate about horror as a genre. I love those people. They're awesome. I will be honest. I am you can call me a slimy capitalist at heart, and I have in fact been called that. But
podcast is about, unfortunately.
Yes, the surviving late stage capitalism. I do not give a shit what genre my books are called, as long as the people who want to read them find them.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of people get bent out of shape about romantasy. They're like, I don't know why the word romantasy infuriates people. I suspect it's because it has romance in it, and people love to shit on romance. But call my books romantasy. It's great. You like romantasy? I got books for you. Go for it. Whatever gets the reader to find the book they want to read. A tragic failing of this was Tanya French's In the Woods or Into the Woods. I can't remember. I think it was In the Woods. Mm-hmm. Was billed as a mystery. And it is a thriller. And that would be fine, except there is a very clear expectation in mysteries, codified by none other than Agatha Christie, that by God, you find out who the killer is. You solve the mystery. Well, there are two mysteries in the Woods, and the first one, and the contemporary one gets solved, and the other one never does.
I see.
But because it had been shelved in mystery and was being promoted as mystery, I got to the end and threw the book against the wall. And this is no shade on Tanya French, who I'm sure is a lovely human being, but I basically was like, nope, never reading one of these books again. Don't care. You did not solve the mystery. You have broken the contract.
Yeah.
And and that was entirely on the marketers. Again, no shade on the author. But Yeah, and romance, this just keeps coming up. And part of it is because romance gets no respect because internalized misogyny, and, it's considered a silly wish fulfillment genre for people who generally have not read romance. I have gotten so many, I don't like romance, but I like your books. I don't consider them romance. And that's very much a you don't sweat much for a fat girl compliment. And yeah. It's okay to just read a damn romance, people. It won't give you cooties or make you gay. Yeah. I promise.
Yeah.
Unless you actually are closeted and, it makes you come out, in which case I suppose we can make an argument. But I'm only saying that because it's Pride Month right now.
Yes,
and if a
Pride
book
Month
allows you to come out, go for it.
Yes. Be your best self. And safe, too.
Yes, that too.
Marketing is an infuriating thing for authors because a lot of times we don't understand it. If the market decides, like my last 3 books with Ace, I say new publisher, my second publisher, I should say, they don't like my titles at all. And I'm not good at titles, so I'll buy that. But Station Eternity, Chaos Terminal, and Infinite Archive have all been named by the marketing department.
All of my Sworn Soldier books were named by marketing. Yeah. Like What Moves the Dead and all the rest. Yep.
Yeah. So, they know what they're doing. They know what sells books. And I don't talk about this often, but because I really don't like talking bad about people I've worked with. But honestly, I did not like the 6 Wakes cover at all. I asked for like a change, and they made it worse. And so I stopped asking for things. And
it's a great book, but it does not have a good cover.
But it does according to marketing, because it sold. And a lot of people said they love the cover. Like a lot of readers said they love the cover. And I'm just like, this is not my job. It really isn't. I know Jim Butcher hates the fact that, what's his face? His Dresden. Dresden is always depicted with a big floppy hat. And Harry Dresden does not wear a hat in the book. No hat. No hat. No floppy. No hat at all. But this, the design of those books with the guy with the hats, it sells. And it's iconic at this point because there have been so many of them, and he's got the hat. It's like urban fantasy for a while. Always had a woman standing with her back to you, probably in a tank top with tattoos, holding a gun or a katana. Yep.
That was the end. Yes, it's cheesy, but it also told readers this is an urban fantasy novel. Mm-hmm. And the point of a book cover is not to make great art that represents the deepest meanings of the book. It is to make people who want to find the book find the book. I really should have done the Paladin covers as romances, but when I was self-pubbing them, I did not, and I should have. They would have sold a lot better. The rebrands that, when they're done in the UK, have very dramatic, romance covers. Not, the not what you're thinking with the bodice ripper, but like, 2 figures, fantasy together kind of thing. And readers go absolutely nuts for those covers. My others were actually decent artwork for what they were, and they were consistent, and they were what I could do. But in many ways, if I was a better marketer, I would have slapped a chiseled hunk on the cover with a sword.
Chiseled hunk on the cover.
Yep.
Bookbell points out, I think trusting marketing on what sells makes sense unless what they're trying to do is completely against the book or racist, i.e. previous whitewashed covers of the first Earthsea book. Oh yeah.
Oh God,
we're not getting into. We don't think white people will read this. We're not going into that area because that is racist and annoying. It's I know Justine, I can't pronounce her last name, Lalabastier. It's French, but she had a book called Liar, and it was about a black girl, and they put a white girl on the cover, which really confused people because they thought, is she even lying about her race in the book? It was really bad.
And there is a big tendency to whitewash, which is not, this is a subset of the marketing problem, I think. And the very first book that I had published with we'll call 47 North a bigger press, I guess, the girl on the cover looked white. And I came back and was like, I'm going to need you to make her look like darker than that because she is not white. And that was on the Seventh Pride. And they did it, and it was not an issue. But the instinct of a lot of artists seems to be to go paler. And that's we live in a fucked up society stuff. But we gotta overall
push against that and keep trying to get those books in the hands of everybody, including people who may not have been comfortable with it in the first way around and maybe learn that just stories about people are stories about people.
One of the things that I have had to push back more often than not in my books is I write books with a lot of fat characters. Mm-hmm. And usually, like House with Good Bones, most of the versions, there's no picture of the character, so it's a non-issue. And in fact, I absolutely adore the paperback cover of that with the vultures. I bought the original from the artist, love that one. But there was a special book box version of it where they did the end papers, and I looked and I was like, okay, nope. We need to go substantially bigger than that. This is she wears a size large. Mm-hmm. You need to get up to the 3X at least. And I had to go around twice on that one. Oh, because they just did not want to make a fat character, to draw a fat person. And I'm like, well, get over it, because we will sit here as long as this takes. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Good news about that is fat characters in contemporary romances, like more chick lit, more rom-com type stuff instead of the Fabio type, more, I don't even know what they're called, the subset of romances with the bodice ripping and the wind from off camera kind of thing. But
those were usually historicals, and actually there's a thing about that, but go on.
Okay. But a lot of modern rom-coms have fat women as the main character, and they're on the cover. So that's a very nice direction we're going in.
The thing with the classic Fabio cover is that basically the book buyer for, I believe it was Barnes & Noble, might have been Borders, liked those covers and wouldn't stock the book unless they had a cover that looked like that. And was in place for decades. And so the entire industry warped around this one dude's preferences. As soon as he retired, we started getting different covers.
Wow.
And it was a dude. Yeah, that was the thing. And the thing is that, lots of romance readers were in the trap of not actually liking those covers very much. Certainly the writers didn't. They're like, oh God, they give people completely the wrong idea of what's in the book. They're cheesy, whatnot. But also they are superbly effective as marketing because they tell you what kind of book you're getting. So it was the sort of, horrible catch-22. Mm-hmm. Cover trends come and go for a very long time. It looked like Fabio and someone clinging to his ankle. Then there was the less clingy but still figures. Then there was everyone's head gets cut off at the top of the mm-hmm. page. Then we did silhouettes for a while, and a lot of this is historical. Modern or contemporary romance, I should say, not modern. It was pink with a martini glass and a fun font. Mm-hmm. Or shoe. I did long ago, when I was trying to make a point about fonts and had more free time, did a like sparkly romance cover kind of thing for I think it was an H.P. Lovecraft story. I think it was like The Whisperer in Darkness or something. It might have been The Shadow over Innsmouth. And just used the super classic romance font on pink, lots of glitter. And I mean, it was a romance by H.P. Lovecraft. You know, you looked at it, you knew exactly what kind of book it was looking, because that's the power of basically having trained reader expectations. So getting to finish up the sort of tangential rant, actually, remembering something I was going to say, is you said about YA, it's going to be about teenagers. One of the things that infuriates the holy hell out of me is the number of critics or reviewers or whatnot who put some of my books in YA, and it doesn't just happen to me. And I'm like, the heroine is 30. And inevitably they're like, well, yeah, but she's sort of young and inexperienced, so it feels like, and I'm like, that is not what YA means. Yeah. You know, that's just not how it works, people. But, you know.
Yeah. Female presenting author, female main character, obviously YA. Yep. Actually, I was going to mention YA when you were talking about how people are hating on the term romantasy. That happened with YA as well, because people were just like, well, Heinlein wrote his junior books and he didn't need his own genre name. And I'm thinking, well, this is one of those things where things evolve. And
yes. And it's been 50 years or more. So, in fact, you talk. I'm going to look up when Heinlein wrote the goddamn Juvenile. Which I never want to fucking hear about again.
Yeah. So, well, I think that's pretty much it. When we were talking about getting a YA Hugo going, which we have one, I guess. Of course, the old dinosaur Smoffs were just like, you know, you don't need to label it like that. It should just be and that. I don't even know what we call people who've been utterly disgraced, but the Graveyard book, I believe, won the Hugo, and it was YA or middle grade even. But
it was middle grade.
It was middle grade. And so they point to that, and I'm like, that was an outlier. And, you know, a lot of YA is just not getting attention. And if we got really good genre YA, we might want to recognize it. And then we got the Lodestar. Yeah, Lodestar. Lodestar would have been a Texas thing. We got the Lodestar, which is like the Astounding, which is not a Hugo, and they have to say it every goddamn time they say it, not a Hugo.
My favorite was still when, Christ, I'm forgetting his name. I know him. When he was Toastmastering, and he was like, you know, and it was called the not the Astounding at the time. It was the Camel. He's like, and when the Camel Award is not a Hugo, but when it is ready to come out and live as a Hugo, we will support it.
Is that Paul Cornell?
Yeah, it was Cornell. That's it. The Heinlein juveniles were published between 1947 and 1958, so I was off. They were literally 70 years ago.
Yeah.
I think perhaps it's okay if the genre moves on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, that's just me. Sorry, having been a children's book author and in that space, and a person who fights a lot. At this point, the phrase Heinlein juveniles is like makes me see red. I have developed this Pavlovian response, like it's like waving a flag in front of a bull.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Okay. Yes. We're gonna get to a couple of questions we have in chat. Let me scroll.
Yay, questions!
Yay. Oh, Daniel says about 6 weeks. I think it's about 6 weeks. I like the cover, but now thinking on it, doesn't really have much to do with the actual story, does it? Yeah, it doesn't. Fun fact. When one of the clones died, I was going to have them space the body, and then rethought it as a, you know, it being a closed system and hand wavy breakdown of protein and carbon into new things to be made of protein and carbon. They would not space the body. So I took that out. And I think one person complained that the cover wasn't exact anymore or something. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this edit is going to remain. You can keep the cover. Didn't like it anyway. But yeah, it's still, it sold. So, kudos to the marketing department. They knew that what they were doing. I just don't personally like it. Underpope asks, how do you take your writing to the quote-unquote next level? I feel like I'm stagnating as a writer and want to up my game. I have an answer. Ursula, do you want to take it, or do you want me to start, or what?
I can tell you my answer, such as it is, and it is not actually about writing. It is about art, because like physical painting, art kind of thing, or not necessarily physical, but you know what I mean, illustration, that kind of visual art, because I have no goddamn idea how to take my writing to the next level. I write like I write. I keep writing. I write words. There is not like a conscious point where I'm like, I have taken my writing forward. And my answer, at least with other media, is try something wildly different. Go write a romance if you haven't written one. If you're writing fantasy, go write science fiction. Go write horror. Go do something wildly different that has different problems to solve, because your writing is largely about solving problems. And if you feel like you don't like your current crop of solutions, go solve different problems and see how that informs the other solutions.
Yes. Good one. Mine, unfortunately, is not that helpful, because I feel like your growth as a writer is like your voice. Like, I can't hear my own voice. I can't tell you what about my writing makes it definitely a Mur Lafferty story. You can't, it's like asking the fish to talk about water. It's like, it's everywhere. It is the life. It can't, what do you want to know? It's just here. And I think you may not be able to tell when you take your writing to the next level. It just, you may already be there. I think Ursula's advice on, writing something different, going in a new direction might push you. But I think if you keep writing,
I would say you don't have to stay in that other direction. Like, you don't have to just become a science fiction author or something. Just having the different problems to solve. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that you're writing and you're continuing to write, unless you're aggressively stagnating, like aggressively trying to write the same story over and over again. I worry about people who work on the same book for decades.
Yes.
It worked for Susanna Clarke, but I think she was also an outlier. That was her name, right? Jonathan Strange, author.
This is the point where Susanna Clarke, and I loved Piranesi. Piranesi was amazing. I think I got about 2 chapters into Jonathan Laurel and was like,
yeah,
nah.
It wasn't for me. But she took forever to write that.
Piranesi is freaking amazing, though.
But overall, people who keep working do improve. So, don't let the fear that you're stagnating slow you down. And just keep going, because
I will also say read. There are far too many people who want to write who do not read, and read widely. I'm not going to say read deeply, because we're writers, which means that many of us read very broadly and very shallowly and know a little bit about 50 million things, or maybe that's just me, but read books you like and think about, why does this work? What is this here what is drawing me in here? And can I do that? And don't, do the thing where you're like, but then it won't be my voice. Yeah, okay, that's fine. You can go back to your own voice afterwards. It's pretty much inevitable you'll go back to your voice afterwards. But figure out, try to write a paragraph like Pratchett would, and then sit there and go, Jesus Christ, Pratchett was a genius.
Yeah.
Or Raymond Chandler. I try to write metaphors like Raymond Chandler for a day. See how far you get.
Yeah.
I say this is someone who tried to do that for a day recently. That's hard, man. Well, 2 hours while I was writing. I was like, I'm going to try to come up with these sort of hilariously complex metaphors that, dude, Pratchett and Chandler actually are very similar in that in some regards, in that they will say things like, he had a smile as friendly as a subpoena.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, shit, that's a really good line. But I don't just think of things like that out of the blue. I would have to sit there and go, all right, I want to describe someone who is unfriendly. What are horrible things to have happen to you? He had a smile as friendly as a death in the family, or something. And they're hard to construct.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I will point out that you're reading the end result. You don't know if it took him a long time.
Yeah. Apparently Chandler's notes are littered with points where he thought of a metaphor and wrote it down in like his diary or something so he could use it in a book later. He didn't just come up with it on the fly when he was describing something. He like had a storehouse of, oh yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah. Daniel says, I manage a lot of young engineers and computer scientists. They struggle to see their development, but it's very much there. I tell them all the time to keep track of their work and look back every year on how much they've grown in that time. I think about this sometimes when it comes to the books I wrote like 15, 20 years ago that did not get sequels, and the fans wanted sequels. And, every once in a while I think, should I go back to that with as easy as writing, as easy as self-pub is these days? And just the idea of trying to hear my voice, how it was, and then get back in that world and then write in a way that's not too far off of that. That all sounds very tiring.
Yes. I recently sold a book and finished the book, in fact, called Snake Eater to 47 North, who I sold my first one to. And but the book I started in 2008, maybe,
wow.
And wrote like 40,000 words. And it was an idea I always liked. And so when they came in and was like, is there a book you want to write that you haven't? And Tor was like, Evil Roadrunner is kind of a stretch. There's an evil Roadrunner god is the villain. I was like, I'd like to revisit that one. And then I actually had the manuscript in front of me and was like, oh, sweet Jesus. I had to it took a lot longer thought because I had to go and basically rewrite the manuscript line by line practically. And it was funny, the number of bits that were still good, and then the number of bits that were just not bad, but clunky.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my, I don't know if my writing has necessarily improved, but it's gotten a lot more flowing. And so I would just be rewriting for flow.
Yeah.
And it was in some ways brutal.
Yeah. I'm surprised Tor didn't want the Roadrunner book. I just basically figure if you write a book with a bird as the main character or antagonist or whatever, it's going to sell.
They later decided that in the future they probably would like books like that, but they had passed on it. So we sold somewhere else, and they were like, wait, well, maybe we would like that one. And
I remember this story. Yeah. I guess I thought it was about that book.
No, ironically, it was about a different book. But and then they were like, let's just assume we'll publish anything from here on out at some point. Just talk to us. Because the bit where it turned out that I could just take the book they passed on and go somewhere else and be like, so I have a book, and they're like, yes. And they were, so yeah, it's lovely to be at the peak of one's career. I'm trying to get all these books out now before I begin the inevitable slide, and everyone's like, Evil Roadrunner, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I just don't see that coming, but anyway. Anyway, I'm just very happy for you. It's you know, I mean, I don't know what your contract is like. From what I assume about contracts, if they pass on the Evil Roadrunner book, does that mean you're able to go anywhere with any of your books?
No, they basically have like the right of first refusal on everything, and twice they weren't really interested.
Yes, but
and
if they refuse it, you're able to go elsewhere, which you did. But are you still tied to them as publishers?
Yeah, because they have a contract for like what do I owe them at the moment? Like, I don't know, like 4 novels. And I would be like, you want this to be one of them? No. Okay. Well, you have refused this. Now it can go to Source Books or wherever, or 47 North. But how about this one? You want this one? Yes, we want that one. So yeah, it's they basically just bought 4 books to be determined kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. We are reaching our hour mark. Is there any more questions in the chat that you want to ask the Ditch Diggers? And if you're listening to this after the live stream, then feel free to email me, mightymur@gmail.com, and ask us a Ditch Diggers question, and we will address it on the next episode.
Absolutely.
How hard was it to get back into writing after a cross-country move?
Surprisingly not that hard. Once, I mean, I write on a laptop. Once it was plugged in, I was there. In a weird sense, my laptop home screen is sort of like home in some regards. I tend to not change my background image for, decades at a stretch. And so once I was there, I was like back in the office, or I was back at work, and like it was like having a long vacation and coming in. The biggest problem was just that there was so much stuff that needed to be done still, at carving out time to hand in Snake Eater, which was due like January 2nd, while I was desperately trying to unpack things and whatnot was I mean, that was just, your standard scrambling of stuff that needs to get done. Like, I didn't have any huge mental blocks about writing.
It was just, should I unpack and clean, or should I write? And then,
yeah, I need to write, but also I need to call a plumber and go buy, paper plates or something. Yeah.
All right, well, I don't think we're going to get any more questions. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and I hope you guys at home are enjoying this and keep listening. You can subscribe at murverse.com and send me questions. As I said, mightymur@gmail.com. Ursula, where do we find you online?
You can find me online on Blue Sky as T Kingfisher, and if you have questions, you can email them to mur@murverse.com. And because the odds are good, they will vanish into my inbox, and I will mean to answer them with the best intentions in the world, and then it will be 6 months later.
But you're but you're also very important and busy, so you get a lot of emails.
Sure, yeah, let's go with that.
This podcast was produced under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives License. Music provided by Devo Spice, devospice.com.
Ditch Diggers!
This is a free podcast brought to you by the kindness of our patrons. If you would like to also be kind and a patron, go to patreon.com/mightymur.